episode 26, which will be dropping in the course of the week on our Facebook and YouTube channel. We also want to add that we want to thank our host for the juice. There were so many things happening. You asked my man, this guy was checking. I'm so sorry.
You guys, let's go.
What's it?
Let's answer.
I waited for this guy to finish hooking up his earphones.
Oh yeah. Well, my guy.
Mzame ipigisha shati huko juu. Ya baisi. Episode 26, part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. Today being the 28th of May 2017, we're shooting from Langata, and we want to thank our hosts for allowing us to shoot episode 26, which will be dropping in the course of the week on our Facebook and YouTube channel. We must also add that we want to thank our host for rescuing us from poverty, because we are used to water and today we've been given some juice. As always, we start by thanking our viewers, our subscribers, our followers, our fans for taking the time to watch an episode of the Three Quarters Podcast. And on behalf of the Three Quarters Podcast, all you can say ni asanteni na shukran sana. With every passing day, of course, the road to Japan draws closer. As a matter of fact, the Kenya Simbas had their first game of the international season yesterday, 27th of May 2017, when they took on Germany at the RFUEA grounds. They'll be taking on Uganda later on in June. Then, of course, they take on Senegal and Tunisia in the beginning of July. They travel to take on Zimbabwe in Bulawayo, and of course wrap up with a game against Namibia in Windhoek. Therefore, jump onto the Road to Japan hashtag to support the Kenya Simbas, because these boys are the superstars of rugby in Kenya. This is Ngashi Official Noisemaker,
Jiringus, Kenyana.
and we get into part 2, bad guy of the week from our KCB versus Cabras game, the Enterprise Cup final. Who was your bad guy of the week?
Other serious contenders as well.
Yeah.
A lot of them had Andrew Amonde coming back to play at. He was playing the blindside flank.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a very good game.
Yes.
I think, and as you said earlier, he wasn't just all bosh.
Yes.
As we had thought earlier.
Yeah.
But I think our bad guy would be one man Curtis Lilako. Number 3, skipper KCB, better known as Katlo.
That's true.
Yeah. And then his ball handling.
Thank you, Katlo. Ball handling.
Yeah, his ball handling was very impressive, man. I was even telling you during the game.
Yes.
It reminds me of John Smith.
Yes, former South African
captain.
Yeah.
He had a very fantastic game. He supplied a try, I think.
Yes.
And also scored one as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was a
Off
leader.
a mole, actually.
Off a mole, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And his leadership skills, we could see it on the pitch as well.
Yes.
And they ended up winning against Miwa.
Yeah, Cabras should actually. Curtis Lilako, yesterday's game, and maybe it's something that we haven't been seeing also as our fault, because as fans you get entertained by the backs mostly. But Curtis Lilako has actually been playing very good this season. As you're saying, he hits when he needs to hit. His scrummaging has been decent. He offloads when he needs to offload, creating then the extra man. And we saw that coming into fruition, for lack of a better word, yesterday when they played Cabras, 27th of May 2017. And as you've said, they came out victors, and you do think that it's largely because of what Curtis did.
Yeah.
I do agree with you on that one.
To have forwards that are running the ball that way, it's quite impressive, man.
That's true.
It is very impressive.
Yeah. So that's it. Curtis Lilako, our bad guy of the week from the Enterprise Cup final that was played yesterday, 27th of May 2017 at the RFUEA grounds. We take you on to our next section, Rugby 101, where we try educate you about the game of rugby, whether it's the rules, whether it's the lingo, so that when you come join us as you're watching a game of rugby, you do not float either as a result of what's happening on the pitch or what's happening off the pitch, the conversations that are happening off the pitch.
Yeah.
So today we're still on scrums and everything to do with Scrum. Scrum, of course, as we talked about in episode 9, is when it's a way of restarting a game after infringements, whether it's a knock-on, whether it's a forward pass, just minor infringements. And 2 sets of players, the forwards, the 8 players, when they bind together, when they engage, that's what's normally known as a scrum. It's actually funny that Tattoo City, who are the main sponsors of this series, of this test match, had one of our trivia questions about what a scrum was.
Yeah.
But anyway, now the scrum, when the ball is fed into the tunnel by the scrum half, that's when now you contest the ball by shoving.
Yep.
That was when I think for the guys who watched the game yesterday, you would hear very many fans lamenting because the German scrum was more powerful.
Very powerful.
Now,
Efficient.
Exactly, efficient. German efficiency.
German efficiency.
So what normally happens is that once you engage, one of the ways, because you're shoving, you both of you are shoving.
Shoving is
when they're contesting, when they're pushing. So you have times when you have a more powerful pack, what you do is that you cause the weaker pack, the scrum starts moving.
Yeah.
That's what's normally called wheeling.
Yeah.
So when it's wheeled, it can only wheel to 90 degrees, a 90-degree angle maximum. Now, if you go, it's normally an infringement. Sorry, let me start with that. When
it starts wheeling.
When it starts wheeling, it's an infringement.
Stay.
So you'll either have a restart, you restart the scrum, or if it becomes too much, then it becomes a full penalty for the side that's causing the other side to wheel the scrum, the more powerful part in most of the chances. So anyway, that's wheeling of the scrum, which you'll normally see. You see it a lot in the game of rugby. So when you hear guys talk about wheeling, that is what is referred to as wheeling of the scrum.
See your tire.
Now that the debris has settled after the Kenya Sevens performance, HSBC series, we finished 13th with 63 points. I just want to ask you, just have a discussion about what you feel is next for Kenya Sevens.
We have a lot cut out for us, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I think we need to have a look at the management. I think management needs to. There's something that needs to change, or maybe let's say the coach should be given more time.
Yes.
Maybe he's trying to implement a program. His targeted program. Let's say. I think he may need some time to implement it. Bring in his guys that he's had a vision of having how the team would look like. Let me put it that way. So I think he might need some more time. However, if you can swallow our pride, let's bring in a foreign coach.
Thank you.
A more experienced coach.
Yes.
The likes of Friday.
Yeah, Mike Friday.
This is a guy who we finished the series 6th, I think.
Yes. And you see what he's doing in the US.
Look at what they did.
Look at USA, right?
They won their first. The first series,
yes,
one of the series,
yes,
which I'm not sure which one it was, but USA did actually win one series, and right now they're ranked? Is it 6th as well? Yeah. Bring in someone who has had experience, he's been at the top level, and
you see, now things start always coming. Things come out when. I was going to use a curse word, but I won't say it. But anyway, things happen when stuff hits the fan. Exactly. And the reason is when now Kenya Sevens performed poorly, that's when now the truth starts coming out. You find out that the person who's in charge of certification, coach certification at the union, is an Impala person. Then you find out Innocent Semiu, the Sevens coach, was given the certification. Rightly or not right, it doesn't matter. But then, of course, it raises some red flags there. There's someone
reflected to the team.
Exactly. There's someone who mentioned in the course of the week when we were discussing about the Sevens thing, and he asked me, Ngarwa, has Innocent Simiyu ever won a local Sevens leg? And actually, it hit me that he has not. So he's not won a local Sevens leg. How do you expect him to win anything on the international series? I do agree with you. I think we should swallow our pride. Bring in a coach. Bring in a foreign coach who's going to come in with 2-3 guys. Right? You have your assistant coaches being locals. Right? Now, when you have the local guys, these guys are only engaged for 6 months. For that 6 months, yes, they're going for World Rugby, HSBC 7 Series. For the other 6 months, they're doing nothing. Those 6 months is when they should be and now trickle down. That's when they should be giving the basics to our coaches and everything.
Let them learn from
them. He's given a period when Ben Ryan joined Fiji. He was given a target of the 2016 Rio Olympics. Win the 2016 Rio Olympics. Ben Ryan came in and that's what he did. He was given the time. And I'm sure when Ben Ryan leaves, he's going to have left systems in Fiji that the Fijians can take over. Exactly. So England, for example, the England 15s rugby team, they realized that their local coaches are not going to take them anywhere. They went and got Eddie Jones. What's happening?
Wow.
England are now second.
Some fantastic rugby.
To New Zealand.
So they stop being boring.
Exactly. So we need to swallow our pride.
Yeah.
And I think we need to bring in a foreign person with his 2-3 guys and we'll have our locals as his assistants and then just let that information trickle down, because the truth and the fact of the matter is that the game from their areas, whether it's South Africa, whether it's England, is much more advanced than that.
It is more advanced.
And they have more tools. So anyway.
And also, Nash, I think we need to, these old guys, the usual guys that we've been seeing.
Yeah.
These guys should now move from 7s.
Yeah.
A guy like Andrew can be a perfect fit for 15s.
Exactly.
You just come to 15. As
a back row,
and
yes.
then give the young guys 7s. Let
Yes.
it now be for developing these players.
True.
Let the young guys play the 7s.
Yes.
You guys who are more experienced, fine. There's money, yes. There's the money aspect that you need to eat.
Yeah.
But kula kidogo, kuja 15s.
Then kuja 15s. And then, but anyway, we'll talk. We don't know if it's going to be implemented. That's a problem. That's all we can just do is give our opinions.
Yep.
Take on to our next section, Simba Focus. We're talking about center pairings today. What would be ideal center pairing for the Kenya Simbas?
At 12,
Yeah.
first center would be Nick Baraza.
Yeah.
Second, David Ambunya.
Yeah.
However,
Yes.
I'd like to see, I'd like Patrice to have an own game.
Yes.
At number 12.
At
I'd
number
really
12.
like to see him there.
I think Nick and Ambunya would be the best. Nick Baraza and Ambunya would be the best center pairing, but Nick is injured.
Yeah, Nick
so then I think going forward, I think it would be Patrice and Ambunya. They should also think of maybe bringing Biko into 12, because Biko is not really a creator. Bring him
That is when Isaac now plays
at 10. But anyway, we will wait and see how the coaching staff of the Kenya Simbas decides to what they decide is going to be their ideal center pairing. Right? We take you on to the next segment, which is Super Rugby. We'll give you the results for week 14. We had the Auckland Blues and the Waikato Chiefs draw 16-16. We had the Reds lose to the Western Force 26-40. We had the Sunwolves lose to the Cheetahs 7-47. That's like an airplane. 7-47. we had the Highlanders beat the Waratahs 44-28. We had the Rebels lose to the Crusaders 19-41. We had the Bulls lose to the Hurricanes 20-34. We had the Sharks beat the Stormers 22-10. We had the Jaguares, lose to the Brumbies 15-39. How does it play out? Africa 1 Conference, we have the Stormers, Cheetahs, Bulls, and Sunwolves. Africa 2, we have the Lions, Sharks, Jaguares, and the Kings. Australia, we have the Brumbies, the Waratahs, or the Tars, the Western Force, the Queensland Reds, and the Melbourne Rebels. And New Zealand, you have the Crusaders, the Hurricanes, the Highlanders, the Chiefs, and the Auckland Blues. Combined log, Crusaders on top, Lions second, Stormers third, Brumbies fourth, Hurricanes fifth, Highlanders sixth, Chiefs seventh, and the Sharks are number 8. As always, I tell you guys that we have our Super Rugby Fantasy League running. Actually, as I speak, the code and the URL should be running at the bottom of your screen. So join the Super Rugby Fantasy, 3/4 podcast Super Rugby Fantasy, and let's compete na tuone kama Mikelele tu au ndo wanakuanga nayo ama wanaweza kuwa machesco. Watu wanaweza kuwa macoaches bana. Machesco. That has been episode 26, part 2 of Kenya's Premier Sports Video Podcast, the 3/4 podcast. We ask you guys to like our Facebook page, to follow us on Instagram, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Ngash, your official noise maker.
Jeringus, Kenyana.
Keep it live, keep it locked. Episode 26, part 3 dropping soon. Cheers, guys.